I'm going to dive into the New Orleans Saints free agency tracker as they have finally made a move, and they brought in a linebacker by the name of Willie Gay. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Girouard. Second video of the day. We put out a plethora of shorts as well, so be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date and stay in the know around the black and gold. But let's dive right into the free agency tracker. Only 3 moves. Saints gave Tyrann Mathieu a 2-year, $13 million extension. They gave Demario Davis a 2-year, $17.25 million deal with 13 and a quarter guaranteed. And the newest New Orleans Saints addition, Willie Gay, is teaming up once again with Tyrann Mathieu. It's a 1-year deal up to $5 million with $3 million guaranteed. What a deal by Mickey Loomis and Kai Harley and the Saints front office to bring in a linebacker who's extremely productive, especially in coverage. This is a player who, in my personal opinion, is your Zack Baun replacement. They tried to make him a drop back in coverage kind of guy, but Willie Gay, look at the production he did. The completion percentage, 81% when targeted. Of course, that's not amazing, but only allowed 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 4 pass breakups and 1 interception and a QB rating of 103.7. Of course, I don't want to look back at 2023. I want to look back at all of the stats from the past 4 years because this is a guy who's been getting it done for some time. And Willie Gay himself posted on Twitter, "I never try to defend myself on social media, but I have to say to all fans, please don't judge my talent based on the 20 to 25 plays a game I played last year. Getting a feel for the game and momentum is real. And look what he can do whenever he plays. 9 tackles for loss, 1 interception in 2022. And to match that, he had 8 pass breakups as well in 2021. 48 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, and 4 interceptions. In 2020, he also had a good year there. 3 pass breakups, 39 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss. But guys, like I said, this is your Zack Baun replacement. Zack Baun was a great edge rusher coming out of Wisconsin when the Saints drafted him. They tried to turn him into a drop back and coverage kind of guy that could play alongside Pete Werner and Demario Davis, but it never panned out and it never quite worked. Now, obviously, Baun left in free agency to join the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think that that is a good move for him and the Eagles. I think that fit is actually extremely effective. But in personal opinion, I think that this is a great move. He's much better in coverage. He's good against mobile quarterbacks. He's extremely athletic. He has wheels. Let me tell you, this guy is so fast, and he can get to the quarterback if he has the opportunity. So I want to take a quick moment and ask you guys a question because I want to get your gauge about the New Orleans Saints free agency. They've only made 3 moves, so what moves should the Saints make next? Danielle Hunter, he is headed to the Texans. C.J. Gardner-Johnson headed back to the Philadelphia Eagles. But I want you guys to let me know what move should the Saints make next. And if you don't know what move they should make, well, here's a handful of the top free agents available right now. Calvin Ridley, he's the number 1 free agent. There's chatter that he could go back to Jacksonville. There's also some talk about the Patriots being interested in him. My number 1 target is Justin Simmons. I want the Saints to bring in Justin Simmons to pair him alongside Tyrann Mathieu. Whenever he was cut, Mathieu took to Twitter and said that he is one of his favorite players. He loves Justin Simmons and what he's able to do. And to be honest, I think that Tyrann Mathieu should try to recruit Simmons to replace Marcus May, who was cut a few weeks ago. Eric Armstead, a great defensive lineman out of San Francisco. I could see him getting some big-time money. Tyron Smith could be interesting. The Saints need offensive tackle help, and he is a proven veteran who knows how to get it done at a high level. Marquise Hollywood Brown, baby, the speedster who was with the Arizona Cardinals last year, could add another dynamic element to the Saints wide receiver room. But let's move on to number 6 through 10. Chase Young, I want to talk about him in a little bit. He is visiting with the New Orleans Saints as well as the Panthers and the Titans. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, like I just said, he's headed back to the Eagles on a very, very big deal, cashing in big time. He is going to be earning 3-year, $33 million deal in Philadelphia. Josh Reynolds, a wide receiver that could add some pop to the Saints offense. Jadeveon Clowney, veteran edge rusher who is very talented. Kendall Fuller, the cornerback. I don't think the Saints need a cornerback. I don't anticipate them trading Marshawn Lattimore, so I'll pass on Fuller. But DJ Reader, this is a guy we actually talked about in our morning video. He's a great run stopper, and PFF actually suggested that the Saints are the best fit for Reader, depending on how the medicals check out. He did have a torn quadricep that took him out of the remainder of the season late last year, so that's something to keep in mind. OBJ, I'm personally going to pass on that, but if he wants to come back on a very, very cheap deal, vet minimum, why not? I guess it would be cool to see the homecoming. Isaiah Wynn, Kevin Zeitler could also shore up the offensive line, give Derek Carr some better protection. But Stephon Gilmore, he is yet to be signed. Devin White, the linebacker out of Tampa Bay that a lot of Saints fans are very familiar with. Andrus Peat, the offensive guard, he is in our Chat Sports top 20 free agents available. And on top of that, you have Coleman Shelton and Laken Tomlinson. I don't think they'd be interested in Shelton, but I could see Tomlinson being an interesting guy to challenge Cesar Ruiz and whoever else lines up on the interior offensive line. But guys, this is why you subscribe, because you can stay informed around your New Orleans Saints. We are currently at 26,347. I want to get to 26,400 ASAP. So help a brother out, subscribe today, and that way you can be a smarter Saints fan and you can know what's going on with the black and gold, whether it's a move that they directly make or something that an opposing team or NFC South divisional opponent could make as well. Let's kick gears into Chase Young, though, because he is visiting with New Orleans, the Panthers, and the Titans this week. The meeting with the Panthers is going to be tomorrow, according to Josina Anderson, and then the meeting with the Titans will be later on in the week. But I kind of like Chase Young waiting and testing free agency, seeing what he can do and seeing the option he has available. So let's talk about signing Chase Young. I did reach out to one of my friends and one of my former roommates. His name is Shale. He's a great guy. He is a Washington Commanders and Ohio State fan, and here's what he had to say about the player out of Ohio State. He lacks effort, or the lack of effort traces all the way back to his Ohio State days. He takes plays off of the ball, or he takes plays off if the ball isn't ran to his side, and he isn't great at setting the edge, but he is really good at creating pressure. He's a good second option if you have a pass rusher, and he's strong as hell. He's solid against the run, and he tries to get a sack every play, which does allow the quarterbacks to roll out and have time to throw. But in terms of what Chase Young could do, he's seeking a long-term contract. That's what reports were going into free agency, and the contract projections a 1-year, $15 million deal. For me, why not throw him 1 year, 9? Throw him 1 year, $9 million. See what you can do. I think it's a very solid prove-it deal, and the injury history and effort concerns, I think, can justify paying him that much money. But let's look at the production, because after being traded at the deadline from Washington to San Francisco, the production wasn't great. It actually was worse than it was in Washington. And obviously, he's in a much different situation where he has Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw. You also had Eric Armstead as well on that 49ers defensive line. So, of course, the production might not be as good. I'm not saying Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen aren't good players, but I'd rather take those two. I'd rather take Javon Hargrave and Nick Bosa over the latter. But the production on your screen, you can see it. It's not incredible. It's not bad. But this is a guy who was the 2020 Defensive Rookie of the Year coming out of Ohio State. The Predator, feels like I might need to come up with a new nickname for him. But Chase Young in 2023, according to PFF, had an overall grade of 74.4, a pass rushing grade of 75.8. His run defense, the grade doesn't quite line up with what you would expect out of a former number 2 overall pick, but he did have 480 pass rush snaps, and that's what I'm talking about. My roommate Shale said he is incredible at creating pressure. He had 66 total pressures in the backfield in 2023. Now, be honest with me, Who Dat Nation. Would you sign Chase Young? I know it says, would you sing? I'd sing Chase Young. Chase Young! But let me know if you would sign Chase Young in the comment section. Just give me an S for sign or a P for pass in the comment section. And to round things out, Let's talk about Michael Thomas because he has still yet to be released. And on March 16th, the third day of the league year, he will trigger $119 million in bonuses, which will be guaranteed. And the 2024 year does not automatically avoid. Now, for me, I think that Michael Thomas will be released tomorrow on Wednesday. I expect that move to happen. We will be live tomorrow breaking down the move as soon as it happens. Hopefully we're live beforehand, but I do expect Michael Thomas's official departure to be announced tomorrow at some point. Like I said, they have until the 16th to get that contract off their books. I think it'll happen before then, though. So let's dive into what Michael Thomas's agent had to say because he does add some context. He said, it is a one-year deal, and it always has been. That is 100% how it is structured. And there is no two ways about that. He will be an unrestricted free agent on March 13th, like everyone else. Now, looking at the date, it is March 12th. You know what tomorrow is? March 13th, Wednesday. Like I said, he will be released officially tomorrow. And this was the plan all along. The Saints, they gave him a new contract last offseason, and it was a prove-it type deal. In my opinion, I think they would have been open to running it back with Mike Thomas had things gone a little bit better. Derek Carr never quite got the chemistry with Mike Thomas over the middle. And what I find extremely interesting and kind of ironic is Michael Thomas was a huge part in recruiting Derek Carr to New Orleans. But the production over the last handful of seasons, in 2021, he obviously missed the whole year. 2022, we only got 3 games of MT. And in 2023, 339 receptions, 448 yards, only 1 touchdown. It was a great catch, and he made some big-time plays, no doubt about it. But this is not the same guy that you had back in 2019 when he had almost 150 catches and over 1,700 yards. Of course, that's doing it with Drew Brees. Drew Brees and Derek Carr, not even similar. Drew Brees and Andy Dalton, don't even include them in the same conversation. But let's look at what the wide receiver depth chart shakes out as right now. So the Saints did tender Rashid Shaheed, so he will be back for 2 more seasons on a very cheap contract. A.T. Perry, the rookie out of Wake Forest last year, was excellent. It felt like anytime the ball was in his area, he made a big-time catch and a big-time play. Chris Olave, you know what he is. He's Mr. 1,000. He's going to get you 1,000 yards. He's going to be dynamic. He's going to be prolific. But Keith Kirkwood and Lynn Bowden Jr., those are 2 guys that could also not return to New Orleans. I could see them wanting to bring some continuity there. But right now, in terms of your roster, you have 3 pass catchers in the wide receiver depth chart. Of course, you got some tight ends. You got Alvin Kamara. You have pass catchers elsewhere. But right now, 3 wide receivers on your depth chart. And in terms of some Michael Thomas destinations, I think that these 4 teams are your best bet. Baltimore Ravens. I talked about this at the Combine. I broke the story long before the big heads and the big J's did. I talked about it. People told me I was an idiot. I'm right. Kansas City Chiefs. They could also look to bring in Michael Thomas. They don't really have any wide receivers. They don't have a ton of pass-catching talent outside of Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, so I could see them wanting to bring in a guy like Mike Thomas as well as drafting a wide receiver. The Dallas Cowboys, they've only signed a long snapper. That's it. That is the only thing they've done. So maybe they're trying to wait until Mike Thomas hits the open market and go bring in number 13. And then the Chicago Bears, they could always use some help. Darnell Mooney is headed to Atlanta, so maybe this could be a move that Chicago sees is necessary to bring their quarterback, whether it's Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. I think it will be Caleb Williams, but maybe that's another option for can't guard Mike. So really fast, in terms of some free agent wide receivers still available, like I said, only 3 available on the depth chart right now. Calvin Ridley, I talked about it a minute ago. I think he's headed back to Jacksonville. I don't think the Saints are going to be able to bring him in. I think he might be too expensive. But Marquise Brown, maybe that's a guy that the Saints could go sign. He is a fast, speedy wide receiver. And if you pair him with Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, that is an extremely quick wide receiver group. Now, also you have Josh Reynolds as a wide receiver out of Detroit. I don't know if I'm super interested in bringing him in, but I also don't hate the addition of bringing in a guy who has some experience in this league. And on top of that, OBJ, he is the LSU legend, the New York Giants one-handed catch phenomenon, but he hasn't quite been that guy after having multiple injuries and after missing a lot of time, So maybe that's a guy that you could bring back on a absolute vet minimum, but if you're paying him anything more than that, go ahead and write me off as uninterested. Now, there are some draft targets that I think the Saints could also add in the first or second round. Jatavion Sanders, he did formally meet with New Orleans at the scouting combine. I think that he could be a really good addition. Fun fact about him, didn't have a single drop in 2023. Brian Thomas Jr., I don't need to sit here and talk about him too much. Saints fans, you should be well-versed with that player. He is a dynamic, very talented kid, and I would love to see him in the black and gold and stick around in Louisiana. Rome Odunze, possibly one of the most dominant, big-bodied, contested catch guys in the draft. He is good, he is big, and to be honest, it feels like he could be your literal Michael Thomas plug-and-play replacement. Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, he is a great football player. He is dynamic, he's huge, and to be honest, he has really nice pass catch ability. And Joshua Cephas, the UTSA wide receiver, he was shockingly good. I encourage you to go look at his tape and go check out his stats because he was great for the Roadrunners out in San Antonio. He also met with the New Orleans Saints formally at the Combine. So those are some options there in the draft in the first or second rounds. So shout them out for me, Saints fans. To round out this video, I need you to name a pass catcher that you think the Saints should add. Whether it's free agency, whether it's draft, hell, if you want to go with the trade, I don't blame you. So shout out a pass catcher, tight end, running back, wide receiver, I don't care. A pass catcher. I want you guys to shout one out for me in the comments. And as always, Saints fans, I appreciate you for tuning in to our second video of the day. We're working our tails off. You see my face. I am red as a tomato because I've been running around here at the Chat Sports Studios all day for the past 2 days covering NFL free agency. So I encourage you to subscribe so that way you can stay in the know with what's going on with New Orleans. And as always, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. We'll be live tomorrow. See you next time.